bewildering, transgressive, death-defying, degenerate. These are just some of the words that have been used to describe the Nickel, which is London's newest so-called grindhouse cinema, which is based on Clerkenwell Road. Now, the Nickel won't show you the latest blockbuster, and instead it carefully handpicks the best of the art house, cult and independent circuit, inviting guest programmers to curate their own screenings. Its grindhouse style pays homage to the historic backstreet theatres of the 1920s New York and LA, which showed the features mainstream Hollywood shunned. So there you go. The films that Hollywood shunned is what they are showing. It's grinding out film after film for audiences watching late night into the night. Now, the founder, Dominic Hicks, joins me in the studio, and he's going to tell us more. I was getting a bit tongue-tied there.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
It was a mouthful. But wow, this sounds absolutely fascinating. Let's start off with Grindhouse Cinema and tell us exactly what you mean by that.
So Grindhouse cinemas were it's an expression to describe the cinemas that were popular in the 70s in New York on 42nd Street. Mm-hmm. They were these kind of slightly disreputable places, I suppose, where films that were not shown at the bigger theatres, the more prestigious theatres, they were sort of kung fu movies, horror movies, sexploitation movies, B movies basically were being shown on 42nd Street. More provocative stuff, you know, and they were called grindhouses because they would show the movies constantly. So there was no real set start time or end time. There would just always be something showing. And you'd get all kinds of ne'er-do-wells and troublemakers coming in, hiding from the cops or, you know, up to all sorts of subversive stuff in these places. Wow. So they were like interesting spots where, you know, a lot of artists and musicians and people that we would recognize from 70s New York would be inspired by, because they'd be exposed to these very subversive, weird, transgressive films that you wouldn't really see in other cinemas.
Okay, I heard that once upon a time, so I'm going to say 70s, was the person who told me that was when they were visiting the cinema at that point in their life. And they would say that they would just have to buy a ticket and you could sit in the cinema all day and just watch all the various different films. Now, we weren't talking about grindhouse cinema, but I'm imagining that at that time, that's probably what people would be able to do, buy a ticket on the door and then sit in and see the variety of films that were on offer. Would I be right in thinking that?
Yeah. And you'd see a lot of what kind of is collectively called exploitation films. That's got kind of a negative connotation to it, but exploitation films just really means that these were films that didn't have huge amount of budget, they didn't have big stars, they didn't have necessarily big studios behind them, but they had to find something, some exciting aspect or element to exploit, basically. So it could be, you know,
well, I've heard of blaxploitation.
Blaxploitation is an example of it, And you know, they all carried with them their own audience of people who wanted to see that, who were being deprived of it maybe from the more mainstream films. So exploitation films tended to have something quite interesting going on. They allowed their filmmakers to be very free. As long as you delivered the goods, you know, as long as you delivered your kung fu action or your race car stuff or whatever it was that was the kind of connecting point of that exploitation thing, you could be as transgressive or odd underneath all of that. So you often see more creativity going on in these low-budget, slightly raggedy types of movies than you would see in the more clean, bigger-budget prestige films.
And let's talk about some of those other words that I used. Bewildering. We've talked about transgressive and degenerate. I mean, they're not normally words that you would hear in a cinema advert. And I wonder what sort of impact that has on passers-by or people that might want to visit the Nickel.
Well, I think it probably acts as a warning. You know,
is that needed?
You know, take heed. We cater for certain tastes, and we found a huge audience of people who want to see stuff that's a little bit more provocative, a little bit weirder. You know, we have a culture now, especially with streaming services and whatnot, that it's very everything is ironed out. Everything is pretty clean. Everything has been workshopped and discussed around the boardroom table and everything. But these films come from an era where you have quite radical, independent, maverick filmmakers who were breaking rules, really, and doing things their own way. And, it might come as a shock if people are sort of familiar with more modern kind of Netflix style stuff. This ain't that. But there's a lot of beauty in these films and a lot of creativity and, a lot of inclusivity as well. I mean, they're kind of, it's a much broader canvas, really, that was what was going on in the independent scene. A lot of underground artists who wouldn't otherwise have any kind of place, anywhere to speak in that culture. When they have a low budget, if they pick up a video camera, like the shot on video stuff that we show from the 80s, you can hear from people that you wouldn't otherwise hear, quite marginalized voices that you wouldn't hear from in mainstream Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about your why then. Why did you decide to create the Nickel? So we've heard about what Grindhouse cinema is and what you're showing, but why did you decide that you wanted to create this space?
Well, I mean, I've loved cinema all my life, and I've been lucky enough to visit lots of beautiful cinemas all around the world, in New York and Tokyo, Madrid, and we have great cinemas here too. But in places like New York, for example, there's a place called Spectacle Theatre, which is a very small cinema with very radical programming. In Los Angeles, they have an abundance of cool movie theatres. They've got the New Beverly, which is very kind of dedicated to old school and has its own thing. And so I just, I love London too. I'm a born Londoner, and I wanted to make a space here, I suppose, that specialized in that type of stuff. And we did pop-up screenings all around town for a couple of years. But the ambition always was to create a space. And having opened and not being sure if anyone was going to turn up, it's been like very validating to see how popular it is and how much people were ready for a place like that. It's not just a cinema where you go and passively watch, what's on everywhere else. It's a bit different. It's a bit off-road, and you meet other like-minded obsessives and weirdos there. We sort of there's a little community forming around it. I think.
Yeah. You mentioned that you're from London and you love London so much. Whereabouts did you grow up, and what are your earliest memories of visiting the cinema?
Oh, well, I grew up in Enfield, but I don't have measles. I know that's isn't there like an outbreak or something going on?
I hadn't heard about this measles outbreak.
Apparently there's a measles outbreak in
I should
Enfield.
probably know about that.
Yeah, but I'm clean.
Don't worry, I didn't think you had measles.
I just needed to say that, yeah.
Let's
I grew up in North London, and I suppose my early memories, I used to take the night bus back from the Prince Charles. I saw stuff like Faster Pussycat Kill there, and Fright Fest. I used to go to Fright Fest, the horror festival in town, and collected my ticket stubs and stuff. And I guess I'm also kind of haunted by a memory that something I didn't get to do, which was the Scala Cinema, which is a notorious cinema in King's Cross. That was opened during the 80s and closed in the early 90s.
Became a club, I believe.
It became a music venue,
yeah.
And a great documentary came out about the Scala just recently, which was quite inspiring. And that was a place that, really specialized in these kind of subterranean, oddball films. And Londoners would wash up there at the end of a night out or having hit the bars or whatever, and they'd go in and be subjected to some very strange movie, and they would always kind of stay in the mind. And, lots of great musicians and artists and comedians that we know of now started out there and were kind of provoked there. Like I know Adam and Joe went there all these sorts of guys. So I don't know, you hear about these places that used to exist in old London and that they're gone now and that we can't have them back, or we can't have anything like that anymore because everyone just watches stuff online or whatever. And it's nice to sort of challenge that idea that we can't have new things like that, we can't recreate that, something special.
So you're recreating an aspect of that with Nickel, and I wonder, are filmmakers still creating the types of films that you would show, or are you always going into the archive to get the films that you're putting on?
I mean, I'm a slave to nostalgia, I must confess. I'm pretty old school, and most people who know me, my film taste, will know I'm pretty disappointed by the kind of movies that are coming out lately, I have to say.
And even B-roll type, is it
B movies.
B movies.
Yeah,
Even
B
B movies, are they still not the same as B movies from back in the day? Do they still get made even?
There's an awful lot of money in it now. Everything's very big budget, and there used to be a lot more movies that were made for a smaller budget for an adult audience. That kind of died out in the 90s, and I think partly to do with the popularity of TV and streaming services that kind of ate into those adult-oriented films that were made for mid to low budgets. So I don't know. I think we're in a bit of a nadir cinema in terms of cinema. There are occasional exceptions and good movies that come out every year, but we're far from the heyday right now. And I think it's sort of important to acknowledge that. I mean, I think a lot of people feel the same, that maybe something's happened to that culture, and it doesn't do to just be positive about it and say, oh, it's great. It's not great. It could be better. I think it could be better. And partly that's to do with being exposed to challenging, strange stuff from the past, because that's what will inspire, the filmmakers of the future.
Yeah. How many seats do you have in the Nickel?
A mere 37. It's modestly proportioned. It's a micro cinema, I guess. It's a small space, and the advantage to that really is that we can keep our programming pretty odd. If we had a bigger space to fill, we might be tempted to put on something a bit more traditionally popular stuff that would fill the seats. But even if we show something very, very odd there, we'll still half fill the space, and it's a nice intimate. And you create an energy there where there's like everybody's there and they're excited to see this film, and if you feed off of one another, that's what cinema is really about. You're supposed to be in the dark with strangers, experiencing this thing together, not on your own, siloed on a laptop or whatever. So yeah,
I think because I was actually going to ask you about how this model is financially viable, because buildings in London, just the rents, the mortgages, or whatever it is that people are paying, they can be really expensive, particularly in the various areas of London, and and you're in a good spot as well. And so I guess part of that is by making it a smaller space, but that also adds to the intrigue, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you the same question. How is it financially viable? It's that's part of the trouble with especially if with watching London change.
Yeah.
The high streets have become more and more homogenous. There's an awful lot of the same things, these big chain things. So it's a challenge for people who want to do something independent or creative on the high street, and partly that is choosing a smaller venue. But yeah, it's working. People are coming, which is a huge relief, but people are coming.
Great. And you have a number of people who curate screenings as well. And how do you pick and choose who's going to curate a screening? Or do people come to you and say, I'd like to put on a season of this? Or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it all happens quite naturally, really. Like, we have a lot of new friends who started out as customers, people who came in to the shop, or we have a little DVD shop in the front, come in and start a chat about films. And it's one of those types of conversation that you can very quickly bond over,
Yeah.
So people will come in and express their opinions about this or that, and you'll have a little fiery debate about this movie or that movie, and soon enough you'll find that you've got things in common, or that maybe that person would like to show something of their own obsessions or their own little corner of film history. And that's what makes it interesting for me, because I get bored if it was just all the stuff that I love. So I get to see, it's a pretty open platform. And, we invite filmmakers to show their short films before the features as well, which is quite nice, because it's not like just a short film night where it's sort of mixed in with a bigger movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's been a very grassroots, community-led thing, really. And I guess people say that a lot because it's kind of a buzzwordy thing to say, but this is like, we really built this place together. Friends of mine, people, filmmakers contributed things to us or allowed us to show their films for free or did introductions for us. Programmers contributed, designers and artists and stuff would do posters for us. So it's been a real nice collective effort to make this thing happen.
Love that. And let's just talk very quickly about how different the cinema is by day versus night. Because I feel like they're going to be two different beasts, but
Well,
not so.
we're closed most of the days, so we open for matinees on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. We do 3 screenings on those days, and then Monday to Thursday we're open for 2 features in the evening. So we sort of open about 6, at which point you can come in, and we have a bar in the basement, and we have the little shop with vinyl and DVDs and stuff, and it's an evening thing, really. It's an evening thing. But, we're not in the 80s, unfortunately, so we close at a respectable time.
Unfortunately. Do you wish we were still in the 80s?
I kind of do, because we'd probably be open till 6 a.m. and people be up to God knows what. But, we're all in bed by 12 these days, aren't we?
Okay, so the venue's, of course, on Clerkenwell Road, and it's called The Nickel. And what have you got on at the moment that you can tell people about?
Tonight we have the Switchblade Sisters and Coffee double bill, 2 films by Jack Hill. So Coffee's a blaxploitation movie with Pam Grier from who was famous for Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
And Switchblade Sisters is a kind of girl gang movie from the early 70s.
Is this for International Women's Month?
No, not specifically. We celebrate women every day.
I love that. Of course you do.
I mean, our programming is all over the map, to be honest.
Yeah.
We've got everything from silent movies. We sometimes have musicians come in and perform live performances to silent films.
Yeah.
We show 16 millimeters, so we show the old film reels. We show stuff from VHS.
Yeah.
And we do even occasionally show a new release. But,
you do?
under duress.
Oh, I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
No, there are always great ones that come out here and there, but it's a very we go all the way from the early days of cinema up to the present, and we have our mystery movie nights on Friday nights, which are probably the rowdiest that it gets. That's a fun one.
Okay, so if people do want to visit, then it's Clerkenwell Road, and it's called The Nickel, and it's the cinema, and Dominic Hicks is who I've been in conversation with. It's really great to hear about the cinema, and it really does sound like a brilliant contribution to London's nightlife and to London's cinema as well. So doing something really different from all of the other cinemas that are about. So it's really great to hear about it. So Dominic, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
And the best places for people to find out, would it be the website, or where's the best places to?
Instagram is The Nickel Cinema, and we're quite active there. And then our website is thenickel.co.uk, nickel.co.uk. Our listings are up there as well. That's probably where to follow us.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Dominic. Great
Nice
to meet
one.
you.
Thank you.